Budgeting and tracking are great tools to help you become debt-free.
Yeah, but being debt-free can actually be challenging. To help us prioritize our budgeting, we have our good friend Al Riddick, president of Game Time Budgeting, back with us in the studio today. Al, always great to see you. And I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around the concept of there's actually some stress associated with debt-free living?
There can be some challenges, so let me throw out a couple for you. So first of all, it's very rare that you can engage in impulse spending. Now, one of the reasons people do impulse spending is because it is so much fun. However, when you're committed to debt-free living, you have a heightened sense of awareness regarding every decision that you make with money, so you don't really engage in that impulse buying on a routine basis. Secondly, you have to have constant communication about money. I know each of you has that special person in your life, but sometimes, well, heck, let me say it this way. You're never sitting around saying, hey, babe, let's talk about budgeting. That never happens, right? When you're committed to debt-free living, you have to stay abreast of what your allocated spending is versus your actual spending. And if there's a gap between the two, you have to track so that you can make adjustments as necessary. And last but not least, one of the other things that makes living debt-free stressful is because of the fact that you have to live in the present but focus on the future. When you're debt-free, you are constantly reminded of the value of money, and you have to make decisions in the present tense that bode well for your future life, because we all have an idea of what we want retirement to be like, but when you're debt-free, you crunch the numbers as well to try to make it happen.
Yeah, I would still love to know what it's like to be debt-free.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you recently surprised your wife with a unique purchase. Now, tell us about that and how it presented a challenge to you.
So, my wife's old car was called Pearl, 23 years old, right?
Pearl.
So it was about 2 weeks ago. My wife had been online shopping and she found a car that she liked. So Sunday night we went to a dealership that was near the house, and I don't believe in love at first sight, but when my wife's eyes saw this car, that had to be what it looked like, right?
Yeah.
So the next day I scheduled a, what do you call it, a test drive for her.
Wow.
It was during her lunch break, so I said, don't read anything into this. It's just a test drive to see if you like the car.
Right.
So we did the test drive, but little did she know I was working behind the scenes, so when she got home that night from her office, she hit the garage door button, and the door came up, and there was a gift for her with a big old red bow on it right there. You know?
Beautiful.
But the question is, Al, I mean, was this a challenge for your living debt-free?
And the challenge was this. First of all, we had been talking about purchasing a car, right?
Yeah.
So this probably happened years ago. So at that exact moment, I was like, oh, we need to start building it into the budget. So we started saving money for this car. But this is the funny part. What I thought the budget was, it actually went up by about $15,000 in my wife's buy, which luckily I knew was going to happen anyway. So I was prepared for it. But it's more of a challenge when you force yourself to save money every month to buy something like a car, in contrast to just taking out a loan and then just making the monthly payments like everyone else. So that was a very unique situation for the Riddick household. You know?
Yeah, but you sounds like you were prepared for it too.
Oh, definitely,
A lot of people may be wondering, Al, about maintaining a high credit score. How do you do that?
So when you are debt-free, it is still possible to have a high credit score. For example, I still have a personal credit card that I use. I probably pay the bill at least once or twice every week, not just every month, you know, because I just like to have a good handle on cash flow. Secondly, because our house is paid for, we took out a home equity line of credit. We've never used it, but because we do have access to that debt, it still shows up on our credit report. So the last time I checked, my credit score was like 805. But I've been living debt-free for over 15 years, so it's still possible to have a high credit score without being technically in debt.
Wow. Now, I have to ask you, like, did you have sort of a big aha moment after you achieved, like, living debt-free?
So this is the funny thing about it, right? You spend so much of your time working to pay bills, to pay debt, then wait on your next check. When you actually achieve debt freedom, it's kind of a letdown. Let me tell you why. Because the journey or the excitement is in the journey, not the destination. And then it also forces you to get to know who you are, because debt to me is kind of a distraction. But when you don't have it anymore, you get to learn who you are, and then you get to spend more time thinking about, why am I really on earth and how can I better serve other individuals? So it's very deep when you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I love it.
I need to share shake your hand on that one. That was
Seriously.
awesome. If people want to learn more about your awesome tips and how to maybe get debt-free, where can they go?
They can reach out via the website at gametimebudgeting.com or call the office 513-813-3275.
All right, we're on that journey to becoming debt-free. Al, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.